Juan Soto to the Red Sox is looking less and less like a dream and more like a reality by the day. I'm breaking down where we stand in the Juan Soto saga on today's Locked On Red Sox.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Hurlbut, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And the best part of all of it is it's completely free. So you definitely have to check it out because I am here every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. I will be telling you a lot more about FanDuel later on in the show today, but the biggest name on the free agent market in Major League Baseball right now is Juan Soto. It just is what it is. He is going to get a massive contract, and as we progress through the rest of this offseason and figure out what other moves the Red Sox are going to make, Juan Soto is the priority. So I'm going to be discussing where we're at in this Juan Soto saga and also be talking about why there could be so much doubt among Red Sox fans and the organization and even just others across Major League Baseball that Juan Soto will come to Boston. And finally, what's the backup plan if this Juan Soto situation falls through and it doesn't work out for the Red Sox? Where do they go next? So that's all on today's show. And every single day since free agency opened, people have been refreshing their Twitter feeds and watching for any sort of Juan Soto news. And it was crazy because it was a similar situation to what happened last winter with Shohei Ohtani. I mean, I don't know about you, but I was sitting there constantly refreshing my feed to see if there were any Ohtani updates. And then finally he signed with the Dodgers. And then a lot of other dominoes started to fall in terms of other free agents going and signing contracts. And this year, Juan Soto is the equivalent to where Ohtani was last year. And Soto is obviously a very well-coveted, well-desired player, but there realistically were only ever going to be a few teams that were really, truly going to be in the mix for him because of how much he's going to require. No team is going to get Juan Soto without paying a hefty price. It just is what it is, and the prices are only going to continue to increase over the next few years for free agents. So teams just have to accept that it's going to be a big contract. Now, the Red Sox have accepted that. They have pursued all avenues when it comes to Juan Soto, met with him to talk about their plans for the organization, to lay out their future and what that could look like, and getting him excited about all the talented young prospects they have in the system so that he could see that although the Red Sox haven't been super competitive over the last few seasons, they've been working really hard to improve that farm system so they can get players in there that can contribute long term. And Soto is very concerned with going to a team that has a bright future. Every single team that he met with, he asked about what their future looks like, where they're at with their farm system and the prospects, and what do things look like down the line, because this man is signing a massive contract. He wants to make sure he gets it right, and he wants to be on a team that can sustain that winning culture. Because if he goes to a team that can maybe win next year because they have all the talent in the world right now, that doesn't mean they'll be in a good spot over the course of his career. And he is the type of guy who wants to win, wants to play October baseball. So he wants to be on a team that will do that for the rest of his career and be a team that the majority of those years for the remainder of his contract, that team is a playoff team. And the Red Sox have checked off the box with Soto of saying, look, we might not have been the best team in the majors the last few seasons, but take a look at our prospects right now with the top prospect in baseball and Roman Anthony in our farm system. Then you add Christian Campbell, Marcelo Meyer, and Kyle Teal to the mix. Oh, and then you haven't even touched on some of their other prospects like first round pick Braden Montgomery from this past draft class if you want to go even deeper into the farm system. So they laid out those plans for the future, and Soto was attracted to that. He really liked that about the Red Sox. And when it came to exploring his options, another thing that he liked about the Red Sox was the fact that they have had a history of having other successful Dominican players come through the Boston Red Sox system. And you look at a player like David Ortiz, one of the best players to ever play the sport and is the face of the Boston Red Sox franchise. He is heavily recruiting Juan Soto to come to Boston and talking about how successful he was there and how much the Red Sox really launched his career and helped him to truly take off and see a ton of success throughout the rest of his major league career. So that helps the Red Sox case that they have him recruiting Soto. And also, from what I'm hearing and different things that are going around that could confuse you, Juan Soto has not officially committed to any team yet. He has not officially put pen to paper to sign a contract. Let's just make that part clear right now. There is no official agreement in place with Juan Soto, whether there are reports out there that say that there is. That just is not the case. He is nearing a decision, and that decision likely could come in the next week. It's pretty close, but he has not officially taken pen to paper anywhere. Now, that being said, he does have largely talked to the Red Sox about playing for them, and he has talked about how he wants to play with Rafael Devers, and he has mentioned different things that he likes about the Boston Red Sox and feeling like it's a culture fit and feeling like the Red Sox are a place where he could truly call home. Some of the numbers that have come my way: 12 years, $600 million. Basically a deal that was put in place, and Juan Soto and his team were trying to work out opt-outs when it came to this contract and having the Red Sox adjust a little bit of that. And I had also heard that they were trying to add an extra year onto it. He would be making roughly $50 million a season during the course of this contract. These are all estimated numbers. But Steve Cohen and the Mets are not backing down and recently decided to increase their offer again. So you have the Mets who are coming in here and just relying on how much they can break the bank to sign him. And Soto does care about the money, but he also cares about being on a team where he can fit in the long run. So when it comes to these Juan Soto rumors that you're hearing, no, he has not agreed officially yet anywhere. Has he verbally spoken with the Red Sox about a deal? Yes. Has he officially come on record and said the Red Sox are my top choice? No. But have there been expanded talks with Soto about the framework of this contract based on the numbers that I said? Yes. I would not be surprised if we hear a decision on Soto coming very soon. And this news about Juan Soto and his new contract could break Red Sox fans' hearts, or it could make them very excited. But a lot of things are pointing towards good news on this for Red Sox fans. Why would Juan Soto make a difference for Boston? That obviously goes without saying. He is a miraculous baseball player. There are so many things that he does right. And obviously the Yankees didn't win the World Series, thankfully. But he was one of the few hitters in the Yankees lineup that hit consistently throughout their playoff run. Aaron Judge just completely disappeared in the playoffs. Giancarlo Stanton showed up. He always does in October. And then you had guys like Austin Wells who were contributing and getting some hits here and there. But Juan Soto was consistent the whole time, hitting for power, hitting for batting average, taking his walks. Very rarely does he strike out. Why would you not want a hitter like that on this Boston Red Sox team? And I'm going to clear up one thing here. If you have the chance to get Juan Soto, you get him. I'm not sitting here worrying about price. I'm not sitting here saying Soto isn't worth that much, so we shouldn't be spending that much. None of that has even crossed my mind. And you know why that is? Because the market is what it is these days. And I don't think there really is a such thing as an overpayment right now. Blake Snell's contract that he just signed with the Dodgers is very good. So now it's going to force teams to pay more than they might have been hoping for to get another strong starting pitcher on the market like Max Fried or Corbin Burns. Those guys are going to get paid. That's just how the market is now. And Juan Soto is about to secure one of the biggest major league contracts in history in free agency. But there's no other choice. You don't get him on a cheap price. But if you do pay the money and you're willing to go out there and get somebody like Juan Soto on your team, it's going to be worth it throughout the course of the rest of his career. So that's what I'm looking at with this Red Sox team. And I'm saying they are serious. They want Juan Soto really badly, and they're doing everything they possibly can to get him. I can assure you of that. That is something that you can take comfort in, knowing the Red Sox are really pushing hard and they're working on finalizing details and trying to figure some things out. But the Mets are still a factor because they just are so enticing financially. So we'll have to see how this all ultimately ends, but it's looking more and more promising for the Boston Red Sox. Why so much doubt, though? Even though things do look promising for the Boston Red Sox, obviously nothing's a guarantee and things can happen last minute. It's looking like it could go the Red Sox way this time, but coming up, I'm going to be talking about why there could be people around the organization and around Major League Baseball who have a lot of doubts about the Red Sox securing a player like Soto. As promised, I'm here to tell you more about FanDuel, as you can tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. If you love sports betting, I recommend that you go to FanDuel because you won't regret it and you can make lots of money in the process. So what are you waiting for? Go for it. There have been a lot of talks about the Boston Red Sox ability to sign Juan Soto and whether they are being held back from signing him because of their reputation over the last few seasons, not wanting to spend as much money on a lot of different players like they used to, not having a huge track record of success over the last few seasons, and not going out there and really going big when it comes to getting players. So from that standpoint, there are a lot of people who think the Red Sox are not an attractive market. Why so much doubt? For those reasons that I listed above, because we haven't seen the Red Sox ownership group truly be committed to spending like this in a while. And we can even take last winter as an example, when full throttle became this big viral phrase that was being said by the Red Sox front office going into last winter, and they said we are going to go full throttle this offseason. Certainly that didn't happen. They didn't go full throttle. We're a 500 mediocre baseball team. So that made everybody question what full throttle actually meant, myself included. And I said, I don't think that me and Sam Kennedy and John Henry are on the same page about what full throttle actually means and what you're implying with that. So that alone is a big reason why people are having doubt about the Red Sox actually signing Juan Soto, because they feel like they won't, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, dish out the money that it takes to get him. They would say the Red Sox are cheap. They don't want to spend the money. And why should I believe that this is when things are going to change? And they are going to spend money on those types of players. So that's a valid reason. I can't sit here and say somebody's in the wrong for doubting the Red Sox and them having some desire to spend money this offseason, because their pattern from the last few years doesn't indicate that. So it doesn't surprise me that people have that kind of doubt about the Red Sox and whether they're willing to make that kind of commitment. But also another reason of doubt is that you have teams like the Mets who are going to go out and dish out a ton of money. Steve Cohen has made it clear in the past through his actions that he doesn't get outbid. He does not let other people outbid him for players he really wants on his team. So if you have the Mets who continue to push and push and push, and Soto just wants to go where the money is, then they could win the bidding war. And people think the Mets have a leg up because they're in New York and Soto doesn't have this huge desire to leave New York. So people feel like the Red Sox don't have a chance because he wants to stay in New York, so he'll end up with the Mets. Also a fair assessment. Another thing too is people having doubts about the Red Sox signing Juan Soto because they might want to focus their efforts elsewhere in improving other areas of the roster. So for example, they have made it clear that they know that pitching is the biggest weakness of this Red Sox team. They have said that they plan to add 1 or 2 starting pitchers and add some relievers to help fix the bullpen, which is exactly what they need to do. Props to them for knowing and understanding their own baseball team and what needs to be done. So they have said that they are going to address pitching in some capacity this offseason, and in some capacity better mean in a large capacity going out and getting proven players. Not question marks, proven players. Now, there have been people who have gone out there and said, well, if the Red Sox want to focus their efforts on pitching, would they really feel like it's worth it to sign Juan Soto if they'd rather dish out that money on a pitcher? Another fair assessment to make, because the Red Sox haven't shown that they're willing to spend a lot of money on one player, no less 2 in the same offseason. That would be unprecedented by the Red Sox if they did that. And I would truly be surprised if they were to go out and dish out all this money and get Juan Soto, and then they were to go and sign one of those big time free agent starters like Max Fried or Corbin Burns. I would genuinely be surprised if they were to sign both. So that's another thing that people think is, well, what if the Red Sox drop out of the Soto sweepstakes because they are focused on pitching more and they feel like they should be spending the money on that? If that was the Red Sox logic, that we need to focus our efforts on pitching, so we're going to go out and spend that money on pitchers, I would somewhat understand, okay, they want to use it to address the biggest area of need, sure. But at the same time, it would be really hard and a tough look for the front office if they say that they pivoted from the Juan Soto sweepstakes. For fans, that's not a good look, because people are going to rip them apart and say, if you have a chance to get Juan Soto, you get him. Just like I said before. And if this all works out to where Juan Soto down the road is in a Boston Red Sox uniform, people could forget all about these last few seasons when the Red Sox front office was super deceiving and didn't make it clear about what their goals were for the team the following year, and everybody was just left confused about where the Red Sox were actually at. So that was not a fun time, but if they can turn over a new leaf heading into 2025 and they bring Soto here, then long term, people won't even be thinking about 2022, 2023, or 2024 because that's so far in the past at that point. If they don't get Soto, and the reason is because he genuinely chose elsewhere because Steve Cohen decided he was going to swarm in and continue to just outbid the Red Sox no matter what, nothing they can do there. Can't be mad at that situation. If they lose out on Soto, and the reason is because the Red Sox decided to stop being aggressive about him because they want to focus those efforts elsewhere, then everybody has a right to be angry. Like, why would you drop out of the sweepstakes for a player like Juan Soto? That, I can assure you from what I'm hearing, is not happening. The Red Sox are really intent on getting Soto. He's been their number one prospect that they've been looking at for the offseason so far that they want to bring to this team. So when it comes to doubt about that, them dropping out of the Soto sweepstakes because they realize he might be too expensive, nothing to worry about with that. The Red Sox have the money and they've already laid out a contract to Soto that would pay him a lot of money. So they're not afraid of the money that would come with Juan Soto. It's just more a matter of, do people believe and do they feel confident in the fact that the Red Sox are serious about it? And that's totally fair. And I have just seen lots of different positive signs that are pointing the Red Sox way. And I hope that the Red Sox front office can change the narrative heading into this season and say, look, we do care still about the Red Sox, because let's be honest, it doesn't really seem like John Henry even cares as of the last few years. So showing us that they care would be making a big splash like signing Juan Soto. So I do get the doubt, and I get the people who are skeptical about the Red Sox being a team that would bring him here because of their seemingly unwillingness to spend a lot of money on players. And also, secondary to that is, does Juan Soto want to go to another team that has shown more recent success and was a playoff team last year, where he can kind of walk into it and make them a World Series contending team and get them over the hump? That is the big thing to look out for when it comes to Soto. So I do understand why people would be second guessing it, but the Red Sox overall are an attractive market. Let's not forget the history that comes with the Fenway Park crowd and the stands and everything that comes with that environment of being there, and the number of legends that have come through Boston. And not only that, but also to mention their success in the 2000s and Alex Cora and his managing and how he could relate to Soto. There are lots of different factors that could draw him in, and in Boston, he'd be the face of the franchise. And him batting next to Devers in the lineup, that's tough for everybody else. Good luck to opposing pitchers. So we'll have to see how all of this plays out, because this is in the hands of Soto and Scott Boras now. The Red Sox have done what they can do. And coming up, they've done all they can do. Now it's up to Soto. Are they going to get him? If not, what's the backup plan? I'm obsessed with Gametime. I literally use it for all of my ticketing needs, whether that's for a sporting event, concert, you name it. Any live event that I want to go to, whether by myself or with somebody else, I use Gametime. I've used it for so many different games. Went to a Patriots game recently and used it for that, for so many Red Sox and other Boston sports games, you name it. Gametime is your home for all of your ticketing needs, and it's cheaper than other ticketing vendors, and that's why I continue to use it, because I literally will look and see its prices compared to other ticketing vendors, and it's always cheaper. There's always a price difference with Gametime, and they give you a nice view from the seat before you purchase the ticket, so you know that you're not getting an obstructed view like you could be at Fenway if you're stuck behind a pole. So they make sure that you have the experience that you want to have. So I love Gametime for that, and I won't go back ever to any other ticketing vendor, because this is my place. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Game time. You won't be disappointed in game time, and you'll likely be like me and not turn back after that. So don't say I didn't warn you. The Boston Red Sox have to have a big offseason. If I could count how many times I've said that on this show, that would be an insane amount. I don't think I could even keep track. I have said it so many times, and it's true. They do. They have to have a big offseason if they want to get back to being in contention and being taken seriously. Now, Juan Soto obviously is the guy. He is that number one guy that the Red Sox are targeting and really want on this team. But say, for circumstances out of their control, he ends up elsewhere. And the Red Sox lose out on him, but they still need a strong bat in the outfield. I have talked about both of these guys on the show before, but that is when they should look into pursuing other options like Teoscar Hernandez and Anthony Santander. They're both appealing guys as hard-hitting right-handed sluggers. Santander is actually a switch hitter, which is nice for the Red Sox too because it provides some versatility. But they both made their bones in the AL East, Hernandez with Toronto and Santander with Baltimore. So it's a division landscape that both of them already know well, and they've both gotten their fair share of playing against the Red Sox and playing at Fenway Park. So they are well acclimated to that place. And they both come at significantly more affordable prices than Soto, even if there's a slightly shorter shelf life for both of them and a lower ceiling. The price difference would be pretty big. And also the Red Sox need to replace Tyler O'Neill anyway this winter, assuming that they're not going to bring him back. So they need that right-handed bat, and this could help solve that problem and give them more offensive firepower from the right side. So these are both very good options as backup plans. I do like Teoscar better when I'm looking at their numbers head-to-head and just what they've been able to accomplish. Teoscar Hernandez shows up in October. He thrives on that kind of stage. And for a Red Sox team that's so young right now, you want players to be out there who are experienced and can help out those younger players. And I mean experienced in general, but also just in the postseason. Just experience with playing October baseball and understanding the pressure that comes with that and all of the people who are out there watching you, whether it's in the stands or on TV, you are being seen in the playoffs. And Teoscar Hernandez knows that and doesn't care and steps up in that kind of pressure. So the Red Sox might want somebody on the team like him who has that same type of experience and can serve as a great mentor to guys. Look at Justin Turner, who just served as an unbelievable leader in the Boston Red Sox clubhouse when he was here. Fan favorite, team favorite, guy who really helped guide some of the younger guys. And that could be Teoscar Hernandez too, a guy who has been there, done that when it comes to the World Series, and he could help guide some of these other players towards being able to mentally focus themselves for big games like that or the World Series at the biggest level. So there's lots of pros to bringing in Teoscar or Santander. I'm not saying Santander is a bad option at all. I really like him too. I just like Teoscar better in terms of what he could bring to Boston. But obviously, this Juan Soto situation shouldn't be dismissed as if he's not going to Boston, because those rumors are certainly not true, that there's no chance he goes there, because he is very close right now to making his decision, and the Red Sox are heavily one of those teams that he is deciding between. So definitely eliminate those rumors that he won't go to Boston. But if he does, fantastic, great for us, would be absolutely incredible for the fans. And if he doesn't, there are other good players out there. Juan Soto is not the end-all, be-all. Would he be the ideal choice? Yes, but there are other players that the Red Sox can sign or trade for that can make them a better team in 2025. A team that could hopefully get over that hump and have a strong run to the World Series. So this is all on Craig Breslow and company to figure this out. Figure out who's best suited to play in Boston and what they can bring to the table. And if they miss out on somebody, who's the next best option. That's what the offseason is for. And hopefully we have a more complete roster heading into 2025 instead of one with a lot of question marks and holes in it. So we will see. Like I always say to you, you just have to keep the faith. I do appreciate you tuning in to Locked On Red Sox and making it your first listen today. For your second listen, you can find Locked On MLB with baseball guru Sully, aka Paul Sullivan. He brings a daily blend of humor and baseball, keeping you updated on every rumor and story throughout the offseason. You can find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. That you can find right after this. It'll keep you up to date on all the moves that are being made this offseason. So if that sounds interesting to you, make sure you check out his show next. He is hilarious. I promise you. Keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I will catch you on the flip side.